Hello, thank you very much for tuning in to this week's section of reads. This should be on the YouTube channel James13 Wicca. The information on the decks and the dice will be below. Other than that, if you would like a reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you very much for watching. Let's go ahead and get into your selection. Hello, Sagittarius. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Sagittarius? That's okay. So, what is going on here? The energy is taking a minute. Oh, well, you got fogged in. Okay. Already won, but you're fogged in. So sometimes I see the Page of Wands as having a Sagittarius connection. It's always active, always doing things. Very successful. Sometimes this card becomes the leader card whether it wants to or not, my opinion. Because it's always active and it just keeps taking the initiative. So it just moves forward because it always takes the initiative. It just keeps moving. So other people just kind of fall in line with it. And it's kind of like, oh, you're following me? Oh, okay, let's just keep going then. You've already succeeded here. You've already done really well with this subject. You're not about to go backwards. For the majority of you, even if you tried to force yourself to go backwards with this subject, whatever we're talking about, I just feel like I would just snap. I would lose it. I was like, I can't do that anymore. It's kind of like if you had like really shaky boundaries until maybe the last 20 years or 15 years or the last 5 years even, however, and you just finally got your boundaries in the last X amount of years to where you want them to be, and you're feeling a lot better about life, and you don't let people walk all over you, and you don't let people take advantage of you, you don't let people manipulate you anymore. Even if you wanted to go back to the way it was and tried to do that, I just feel like you'd fall apart. You'd be like, I can't do this. And you would just ditch before you're like, I can't do this. I'm not going to live life like that anymore. So you couldn't, I just feel like for the majority of you, you couldn't force yourself to go backwards, even if you wanted to, for some reason. So you've already succeeded with something. And there's healing that's already occurred here. I feel like they're kind of, it's not bad, but it's almost like a heads up. You have boundaries now that you didn't have maybe 5, 10, possibly 15 years ago. There's boundaries here that it's not like you had to write them down. It's not like you had to consciously figure them out and set them in place. You're just simply not letting people treat you a certain way. You're not playing certain games anymore. The fogged energy is here is like you've already healed from some stuff and you're not putting up with it anymore. Even if you wanted to try to make yourself, I feel like I have to keep saying this for some reason, even if you wanted to make yourself put up with some crap, you don't have it in you anymore. You just can't let, it's like if you had somebody who was verbally abusive to you, it's kind of like, even if you try to make yourself accept it or go along with it or just be like, I'll just not say anything and it's fine. I just feel like you're either going to exit from the situation or you're going to do what you need to do to shut it down. I just feel like you just can't do it anymore. You just don't have it within you to put up with it anymore. And that's the fogged in energy saying you have stronger boundaries than maybe you're realizing. They're there. It's good. You've done the work. You've done a lot of work. You've deconstructed the past. You've done a lot of work. You've made a lot of progress. You're not about to go backwards. Even if you wanted to, you're not going to let yourself. Okay. This is meant to be a confidence builder. Your loyalty seems to be in a very good place. And I do believe, I don't know if it's, I don't know. I believe it's true, though. For a person to be truly loyal to anything, the first person they got to be loyal to is themselves. If you can't be loyal to yourself and how you feel, where you really stand with something, you really have no stable ground to stand on to be loyal to anything else. If you can't be loyal to your own feelings, you can't be loyal to somebody else. It's kind of like that saying, you know, you can't love somebody. If you can't love yourself, you can't love anybody else. Same thing with like loyalty. If you can't be loyal to you and how you feel and where you stand with certain subjects and what you will and won't put up with, you can't help anybody else and you can't be loyal to anybody else. Because if you can't be loyal to yourself, you can't be loyal to other situations. And I'm getting, for the majority of you, you're at a place where you seem to, like, at the very least, subconsciously you get that. Maybe you've never thought about it outright consciously, but subconsciously I feel like you're already there. Some of you maybe have. But you're already there. You're loyal to yourself. You're loyal to how you feel. And you don't let this happen to you anymore, whatever this is. Whatever's been a problem in the past. Maybe this is a moment for some of you where you're currently going through that thought. Like, you know what? I don't put up with certain things anymore. I couldn't if I tried. Okay. So, what is this? This is face down. Somebody's going to try to break your boundaries. They're not going to win. All this comes in at once. So somebody's trying to break your boundaries is what I'm getting with this. It's a boundary card, but like the way it's coming in, I'm just going with it because there's cards behind it. That's partly why. Because I see this card coming in with it. So like breaking through the boundary, just to be fair. And then demanding that they're right, not letting go of that energy, but then also not seeing the point of constantly driving you nuts. There's somebody that's going to try, they're going to try your boundaries. I mean, welcome to life. Is this really shocking? They're not going to do well with that. They're not going to do well with that. When I say they're not going to do well, they're not going to succeed. You're going to do well with that. You're going to be fine. This might be the hard part. They know what they're doing. It's not that they don't know better. It's not that they don't know better. Maybe that's the hard part here because I feel bad about saying it. It's not that they don't know better. They know better. They just find it easier to be whoever they're being. Whatever they're trying to manipulate your boundaries, they're trying to break your boundaries. They want that control over you. They seem to think they can. They feel more confident about themselves when they can control you. And they don't like it when they can't control you. They know what they're doing. I think Sag has a really beautiful heart. So it may be hard to see somebody in that light, especially if you care about them deeply. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And they're going to try any manipulative way to get in the way they want. Here's some possibilities. Let them sit with their own behavior. It seems like you're naturally going to do that anyway, the majority of you. Let them sit with their own behavior. Let them sit with that. That's how they want to play it. Okay, good luck. Have your fun. Have fun in your own little adult timeout. It's probably an adult. Like, an adult timeout, in my opinion, is like, I got other things got to do. You do what you got to do over there. I'm going to do other things. You want to be that way all by yourself. Or be that way with other people at the very least. Can't be playing with that. Can't be doing that. Couldn't do it if I wanted to. I'm past that in my life. Let them sit with that. The sooner you let them sit with that, the better. Then there's a little bit more with this. See, like, Sag has a really beautiful heart. I don't think you want to see somebody in this light, and I think it's difficult. This isn't for you to fix. This isn't for you to fix. Just not silently, but like, you just react the way you need to react, disconnect from it. This isn't for you to fix, because I feel like you want to like help this person, like you want to talk about it, you want to highlight something, you want to, like, I feel like you want to put work into this, kind of like, listen, that's a bad thing. You shouldn't do that. This almost like you're trying to explain to them why that's bad. They know why it's bad. They know why it's bad. They know. I'm sorry, but they do. Another opportunity here is to just not play. Let them sit with that, and this every time they play it, just disconnect, and then let them sit with it. If they bring up the subject, I would probably highlight this person's intelligence and be like, and I would probably start with that, like, you're really smart, you do this, you're really smart, you do this, you're really smart, you do that. And the reason I'm bringing that in is because you know exactly what you're doing when you play these games. I'm not interested. You're a very smart person, you know what you're doing. There's nothing I can do for you. There's nothing I can tell you don't already know. If you're going to play those games, you're going to have to play them with somebody else. I'm not here for it. You're just going to have to go off on your own and play that with somebody else. If you have to play those games, you're going to have to play it with somebody else. I feel like I would just push it back in their direction. Like, you know what you're doing. You know full well what you're doing. I'm not going to play. And that's only if they bring up the subject. This is not for you to fix. I wouldn't bring up this subject. I wouldn't bring it forward. I would only address it if they're bringing it forward, and that's how I would address it. Like, you're clearly an intelligent person. You know what you're doing. We've had this conversation 50 million times. You know what you're doing. I'm not interested. And I feel like I have some Aries in my chart, so I'm just say this with a little bit of trepidation. When people challenge, when I highlight that somebody, like, you know what you're doing, I get a little bit more intense, and then I give examples, and I give a little bit sharper example every time. I'm not saying that's Sagittarius's way, but like, if that works for you, do what you got to do, because that's how I handle it. I'm like I'm not gonna play it. You know what you're doing. And then if they're like, no, they play stupid, I'll be like, well, you did this, that, and you knew then. And then I just make the example a little bit sharper every time until they go away. I also have some Aquarius in my chart, so I don't know if it's a mix of those two, just to be fair. I don't know. I'm not fun to argue with. I'm not really enjoyable in that sense. Not for me or anybody else, to be fair. That's the possibility. They also gave the Moon card. You have another possibility here. Just, if they try to start an argument with this, again, it's not for you to fix. You don't have to respond to it. You can just dismiss yourself from the situation. Whether you're physically next to this person or not, you can dismiss yourself from the situation. You're Sagittarius. You can find a way out. You're Sagittarius, you can do it. That's the Moon card. It's not for you to fix. You can't fix their problem. That's a them thing. You can't save them from themselves. They have to save them. Leave it a mystery. Just kind of like, oh, you don't know? Me either. Bye. They know. I'm telling you, they know. I keep getting in this situation. They know full well what they're doing. They know full well what they're doing. And especially if you don't play at all, you just keep dismissing yourself, you're not even willing to talk about it anymore. They make that behavior. Whenever they do that behavior, you just kind of go and do your own thing, and you just let them sit with it, and you just don't bring up the subject. And if they bring up the subject, you just exit out of it. They know what they're doing. I keep getting, they know what they're doing. It's up to them if they're going to keep doing it. And not for nothing, there's help out there. If they're really struggling, send them a list of therapists and say, here, betterhelp.com, here's a therapist here, here's this, try this book. Paul McKenna, ever heard of Paul McKenna? Try that book. Figure it out yourself. If you have to. I wouldn't recommend going that direction, but if you have to. But I wouldn't talk about the situation. I would just, if you have to, you're like, I have to do something, give them a list of therapists, a list of authors, betterhelp.com, and say, start there. Have some of them help you. I don't get paid enough to help you with that stuff. Go with those people. If you have to. If you feel like you have to. What is this? The more you handle it that way, the less stress it creates for you. Okay. There's good cards here, but I'm just... The more you handle it that way, it just... Because it's going to branch off to other people is what I'm getting at it. Sag is a very, very beautiful energy that's very helpful. But it's realizing that, you know, you can't save the world by yourself. You're awesome, but, you know, come on, you're reality. You are awesome. But more importantly, you know, a lot of people have to, like, do their own work. Just because you're very active and very willing, you still can't fix people. They have to fix themselves. You can give them references, but they got to do the work. And I feel like the more you do it, the easier it gets to be for you, and the more it just kind of branches off to other situations where I feel like for some of you, and I feel like this could be a Sag thing, if I'm wrong, you'll let me know, you might try to fix people, and it's not about fixing people, it's just giving them references and letting them follow their own path and just not putting up with their bad behavior. Sometimes that's the only thing you can do for somebody, is not put up with their bad behavior and just not play the game. When they do bad behavior, you just dismiss yourself and you just like, all right, you can sit with that. They'll get the hint. That's a really poignant, is that the right word? I almost want to say pungent. It's a very pungent odor, if you will. When you physically dismiss yourself, they know why you did. They know why you did. And they don't like it. And it's very uncomfortable. And they don't want to repeat that. It might kind of curtail a problem. Because like it highlights it. Usually, you know, if somebody has it, like, for example, I remember this happening when I was a kid. A friend of mine used a lot of vulgar words, and a person that they were dating at the time would just simply walk away from them. And it was weird. They liked using those words. So for a little while, they kind of curtailed their vocabulary, but then that relationship ended. Long story short, but it did seem to make an impression. They knew what they needed to do to keep that person in their life. There's just certain words that this person just could not tolerate. I don't know. And they didn't say anything. They just would walk away. And they were vulgar words. Like, there's certain words you don't have to use in every sentence. I'm just saying. And the person that was walking away found certain words very offensive. I don't think I need to get into the examples. But it was, to me, it felt very valid. Without bringing up a conversation, they made their point. It helped for a while. You know, I don't know. I hope that analogy makes sense, because it's kind of like even if somebody, you're giving them an opportunity to do better, but doesn't mean they will do better. But you're also improving what's around you at the same time, and you're setting the precedent what you will and will not accept. There's a lot changing by going down this road. It's not small. It may feel small, but the more you stop trying to help people who are just sucking the life out of you, you're Sag. You're going to give them references, but it's kind of like, you know, you make a big impression by just exiting a situation when people are inappropriate. They know. It's very noticeable. You know what I mean? By just exiting situations that are not worth your time, that are not respectful to you, you go into a whole new great adventure. Like, literally, that's what it says. This could bring you into a whole new phase of life. It could. Judgment will go in your favor. You're always beautiful. You're always doing good things. I feel like, if I'm saying it right, I feel like it'll hit correctly, because you're teaching people to, like, be the better person. But you don't have to talk it out. You don't have to explain to them. You just have to simply react in a way of like, you're going to do that? Well, I can't be a part of that. And instead of even saying anything, just exiting, it makes a huge impact. People, typically, 9 times out of 10, in my opinion, people like Sagittarius. And I feel like they very much notice when you exit a situation. When you're just kind of like, oh, nope, this is disrespectful for me, I'm going to leave. Without verbally saying it, it's just your actions are like, oh, nope, I got to go. Like, only people who are respectful to me get my time. Only people who are respectful to me get the effort that I'm going to put in. If you're not going to be respectful to me, I got to go. You're giving people the opportunity. It's a very pungent, I keep wanting to say pungent, poignant. It's very, boom. It's like, it hits the mark. Like, people know. They know what they did. Like, I feel like it's quite obvious. And if that's how they want to live and that's how they want to be, that's their choice. But they don't get the benefits of being around Sagittarius if that's how they're going to be. This is their chance to do better. This may be the only thing you can do at this point for whoever this is that we're talking about, because I feel like they're saying there's the opportunity for this person to do better. There's no guarantee. No guarantee. Opportunity, yes. Guarantee, no. But this is maybe the best opportunity you're going to give them. Anything else? All right, I'm going to shut this down here. Hope that helps. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.